Okay, in this video, we are going to go over diatonic steps. So diatonic steps are always one adjacent letter in the musical alphabet. So a B to a C to a D to a E, never a D to an F because that skips a letter, therefore it's no longer diatonic, right? So make sure you're going F to E or F to G. Anything else, if it's F to F, that will be chromatic. But anything skipping or the same letter twice will not be diatonic. So what counts as a diatonic step? A step from a letter to the next adjacent letter in the alphabet, so downward or upward. So the only two possible diatonic steps from a D, for instance, are from D to E or D to C. There are no others. All right, so let's have a look at some of these. I'm going to open up an example. All right, so a half step and a whole step are the same as if they're chromatic or diatonic. So one key over on the piano, or two keys over on the piano, or on a guitar, one fret over in either direction, or two frets over in either direction. So a half step is one space, one semitone, and a whole step is two. The difference is with diatonic steps that we have to be aware and very careful with which two letters we're seeing, because not all the letters are the same distance apart on the keyboard or in the musical spectrum. So C to D has a black key in between it, so C to D is a whole step. But E to F with no black key is a half step. So not all the distances between the letters are equal. So we have to be very careful when we do this that we are aware of which two letters we're looking at. So let's do this one. So this is an A and a B flat. So let's mark an A, and then B flatted means B lowered by one key, right? So A to B flat. And now I can just count my moves. How many moves to get from here to here? Well, it's one key over, right? So that is a half step. Two keys is a whole step. So this is a half step, a diatonic half step, meaning that there are two separate letters of the musical alphabet that are adjacent, right? So A to B or A to G, no other options. All right, let's do another example. G sharp to A. So I'm going to clear. Here's G. So G sharp is up one key to the right, and then A. And looks like we have another half step, one move to get from G sharp to A. Another example. All right, we've changed to bass clef. You have to be very careful with these again about the letters that you're actually seeing. So keep an eye on the clefs because it will definitely change your answers. So D flat to E flat. Here I go. So D flatted, E flatted, and I can see that there's one key in between them. 1, 2 moves. So that is a whole step. Here's another. E flat to F flat. Here goes. E flatted, F flatted. So that looks like one move to me, half step. And there it is. There's our half step. And we can see it right there. Let's do another one. Two more. And we'll talk about one quick little trick that we can use too. Okay, harder one, right? F double sharp to G sharp. So F sharped twice ends up here. And then G sharp is here. Oh, look at that. Just a half step. One key over. All right, last one, last example. Woo! Double flats and double flats. So here we go. A double flat. A flatted twice. B flatted twice. I have a whole step. Cool. One quick thing about these that might speed things up for you, and that is if the notes have the exact same accidentals, so this one did not, this one did not, this one does, D flat and E flat. If they are normally, D and E here, are a whole step apart, if they both have a flat, they've both moved in the same direction, up or down this kind of ladder, right? If we think of this as a ladder, both guys are moving parallel, the same amount. So having a flat on both is the same as having no flats on both because they've moved together up or down a rung in the ladder, but their distance apart hasn't changed, right? So D and E is the same distance apart as D flat and E flat, or any matching accidentals like that. So one thing that you can do that might speed things up is if they have the same accidental, it might be easier for you to just think D to E, right? Same thing as D to E, D flat to E flat. So either way, it's a whole step there. And let's see if we have another option for that. E and F, right? So E and F are a half step. E flat and F flat are also a half step. So you can cancel out in your mind when they have the same accidental. And let's check one more. Oh, the double flats. So this is a great time to do this, right? If I have something nasty like a double sharp and a double sharp, or a double flat and a double flat like I do here, I can cancel those out because their relationship has not changed since they both move down the same amount together. So A double flat, B double flat is the same thing as A to B as far as the distance between the two notes. All right, so let's get some practice. So here is a pair of notes. Now, it doesn't matter which direction they go, whether they go down or up. It's really about how many moves to get from one to the other on the piano keyboard or whatever instrument or graph you're using to think through the notes. So I'm going to put these two with their actual sharps and everything first. And then since they both have the same accidental, I may cancel them out and see if our answer is the same. So F sharp and E sharp. So here's E sharp and there's F sharp, and we can see that's one move on the piano to get there, so one half step. So this is a diatonic half step. Now, if I had ignored the sharps because they both have the same sharp, again, I can cancel these out and just think E to F, and that also gives me a half step. So easy way to do that, saves us some work. Okay. Watching out for the clefs, right? So D and a C sharp. All right, well, that looks like one move, so that must be a half step. Okay, let's do 5 or 6 of these, then we'll try some harder ones, I think. So treble clef, A sharp and B sharp. So I'm going to find A sharp, I'm going to find B sharp. So A moved up a key, B moved up a key, gives me a whole step. And if we cancel out the sharps, since they both have the same, we can try that too, A and B. And that is also a whole step. All right, C to B flat. Here's C, here's B, so flat will be down one key. So B flat to C, 1, 2 moves. Okay, that's a whole step. 2 half steps make a whole step. Still in bass clef, F to G. I'm going to ignore the flats because they both have the same one. So F flat to G flat is the same distance apart as regular F to regular G. So F natural to G natural. So F to G, F to G, whole step. Let's do one more and then we'll do some that will potentially give us some harder accidentals. D to C sharp. Here's D, here is C sharp. One key apart, half step. Okay, this one's no harder yet. So I'm going to ignore the flats, G and an A. G, A. Whole step. Okay, there we go. That's what we expect. It's some harder accidentals here. Now we know that we can ignore the double flats since they both have the same, but let's just do it this time just to get the practice. C flatted twice, B flatted twice, half step. And if the double flats had been ignored, it would have been B and C, still a half step. Okay, D and C, easy one after those tough flats. And in bass clef, right? D to C, whole step. All right, F sharp and E. So F sharp, E, 1, 2 moves, whole step. All right, I'm going to ignore the flats since they have the same accidentals on them, which is the same thing as E to F. So E double flat to F double flat is the same thing as E to F, half step. Well, let's do 2 more. All right, B flat to A flat, whole step. So B flat, A flat. Or again, we can think just B to A. 2 moves either way, whole step. Double sharp to sharp. F double sharp to G, oops, sorry. Okay, F sharp, F double sharp to G sharp. So F double sharp, G is here, sharp. So F double sharp and G sharp, that's a half step. Cool. So hopefully that makes sense. It might take you a little while because you're still struggling with getting the letters quickly, but you'll see how valuable it is to be able to name the letters quickly, and maybe go back and practice just naming letters for a little bit. And you can also see how useful having our little pop-up piano here can be as you go and work through these. Eventually you'll want to be able to do it in your head. C and D, whole step, right? D to E, whole step. You want to just be able to do this in your head eventually without this assistant, right? We don't want to always have this crutch of needing the piano. Eventually you want to find some way of thinking through these. So D and C sharp, half step, right? So eventually you'll get there. Cool. All right. So I will see you in the next video.